Hello, this video is on MediaWorks Instant Recall tab and brought to you by Nelson Systems Incorporated. I'm using an Eventide Nextlog DX model recorder using software version 2023.5. For the Instant Recall users, they will automatically have the Instant Recall tab when logging into MediaWorks. For non-Instant Recall users, you may need to open the Instant Recall tab. You can go to File, New tab, Instant Recall. The Instant Recall tab will show you the recent recordings on the channels you've selected and for the amount of time chosen. To select the channels, click on the Choose Channels button in the upper left corner. And from there you can select your resource groups or individual channels. If you have any bolded entries at the beginning of the list, those will be your resource groups, and below that will be the individual channels. The user can select multiple resource groups or channels by holding down the Shift or Control keys on the keyboard. Once they make their selection, click OK. The list will update to the channels selected. To change the amount of time for the recording, simply click the up and down arrows in the hours and minutes fields, and it will update the amount of time for the calls shown. From the list at the top or the timeline at the bottom, the user can double left click on an entry to cue it for playback. To playback a recording, the user can simply double left click the entry in the results list or in the timeline. The recording will then load into the player and begin playback. The user then can use the controls at the bottom of the page to control playback. There's a volume adjuster, speed adjuster. Sometimes it is hard to reset those to 100% with the slider. The user can left click on the percentage number to reset the sliders to 100%. The center button can be used to play and pause the recording. During playback, the user can left click the left arrow with the line to go back to the beginning of the recording. A double left click will move the playback to the beginning of the recording and then up one entry in the results list. And then the center button is play pause. The button with the arrow to the right with the line will move the player down one entry in the list and begin playing the next one. The button to the right, the looping arrows, if I click on that, will enable loop playback. In my timeline, I can see now on this recording I have a marker at the beginning of the recording and at the end of the recording, which I can left click and drag into a portion of the recording that I want to focus on. Now during playback, the player will reach the end loop marker and restart at the beginning and continue to loop between those 2 points until you deselect the loop playback option. Once deselected, the loop playback markers will be removed from the timeline. In the lower right hand corner, it shows the channel name and the current position in the recording. So during playback that will change, and that'll be the current time of day when the recording took place. In the results list at the top, the default columns will be the source name, channel name, start time, duration, caller ID, and DTMF. If a user needs to add additional fields based on data we're receiving from integrations, they can right click on that column header and select which fields from the database they'd like to add as columns. If they add the note column, that will show the notes here. A user can double left click into that field and type their note and hit enter. And another user can then search for that later on using a filter in the search tab. To remove a note, double left click, backspace, enter. Maybe they've added it to the wrong record, and then they can add it to the correct one. If a user updates their columns, when they are finished, make sure they right click on one of those column headers and choose Save Current Columns Layout as Default, and it will let them know that it has been saved. Then when they open up new or additional Instant Recall tabs, it'll have the same layout for them. Column layouts are saved per user at the server, so users can sit at different PCs on different days and have the same settings. The default audio playback settings is single play. That means when you double left click on a recording, it'll play back the single recording and then stop. To change the audio playback Mode, go to playback options. The default is single play. If you set it to continuous play, when you double left click on a recording, it'll play that recording, and then it'll move down your list one entry and play the next recording, and then down to the next one, and so on until you stop. Mixed real time will mix together your selected recordings. So if you have more than one recording selected and play that back, it'll play back on top of each other, same as if you right click and do the mixed playback. And then mixed resource will play back one resource at a time. Once you make your selection, click OK to update your playback settings. A user can also change the theme for MediaWorks. The default theme is a brighter theme with blues and whites. If you go to View, Theme, you can pick Dark, which will make it not so bright on your eyes if you're sitting in a dark area like a dispatch center. And you can go to View, Theme, and choose Custom. To set up a custom color configuration, go to Configure the first time and pick and choose what colors you'd like. And once you have those set, click Apply. It'll make those updates for you. If you like that, click Save, and that will be your new custom configuration. The user can also go to the Help and User Manual menus, and that will open up the online user manual where the user can go through all these sections. They can look at the overall chapters, or they can click the magnifying glass in the upper right corner and type in a keyword or phrase that they want to search for. This concludes the video. Thank you for watching.